Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents Scents. Today I'm going to be taking a look at this fragrance right here, Cacao Porcelana from Atelier Materi. This is the first fragrance that I have ever smelled from the house. Actually, I got it in like 3 months ago. And since then I've gotten a discovery kit in and smelled a bunch of other fragrances from the house. So maybe pick up some of my favorites as time goes and feature those on the channel also. But for now, we'll just stick to this one. No need to run through the whole discovery set or anything. So I got this from twistedlily.com and I have them linked in the description below. If you ever do shop at Twisted Lily, use the code GENTS10 for 10% off your order. They have a whole bunch of niche fragrances on there and they're getting new ones in all the time. I should say niche and indie fragrances, but I guess if you wanted to, you could lump indie in with niche. Let's go ahead and check out the presentation of this one and then I'll jump into the fragrance itself and start telling you about it. So here we have the box. It's got a nice slip cover. You have the name of the house, the name of the fragrance, and the concentration right there on the front. You have the logo of the house on top of the slip cover. On the back, you have a little description about the fragrance here. An elegant and distinctive fragrance carried by the choice of an unusual ingredient, the white cocoa. You also have the size on the back there, 100 mils. On the bottom, you have your ingredients, your batch code, and your barcode. Batch code, it's very difficult to read. Looks like 231. So then the slip cover, it comes off. It comes off. Leave it up to me to make it look difficult to take off a slip cover. Persistence. And you have the name of the house right here on the front of the box, the logo on top of the box opens up like so. And there's a cutout with foam on the inside, cardboard on top, and the bottle sits right down in there like that. And here we have the bottle. It looks really nice. All of the bottles from this house look pretty much the exact same, just a different name obviously on the label. So you have the name of the house, name of the fragrance, and the concentration right there on the label that wraps around the corner of the bottle. You also have the logo on the bottle itself on one of the other sides. The cap looks nice. It's this kind of a stone looking cap. So I think it's actually a form of plastic, but it looks nice and has a little gold finish to it. Now, the cap does not click into place and it does not slide snugly into place. So if you try to pick this up by the cap, you're gonna have a bad time. Every time I bring that up, there will be some people who are like, man, why would you ever pick up a bottle by a cap? And then other people are like, I pick up all the bottles by the cap. So that's why I say that. I'm one of the people who picks up by the cap, even though I know like deep down I shouldn't do it, I still do. So anytime I pick this bottle up, I have to think about that and make sure I don't do it because it will come straight off. And then you have a little sticker on the bottom of the bottle there. Let's go ahead and test out the atomizer. I really don't like that. It's a very minor thing at the end of the day. It's absolutely not a make it or break it thing, but make it click. Atomizer's okay. It's not great, but it gets the job done. So this one retails for $265 for the 100 ml size bottle at Twisted Lily. 10% off, obviously subtract $26.50 from that. It's not a crazy expensive niche fragrance, but it's also not on the cheaper side either. It's right there in the sort of mid-range for me as far as niche fragrance pricing goes. So how does this one smell? Is it worth the money? Well, this is a gourmand type of fragrance, which is not a surprise. The name of the fragrance is Cacao Porcelana. It talks about white cocoa on the back, so you already know that that chocolate is gonna be a very prominent part of the fragrance, and yes, it absolutely is. It's the focal point of the fragrance, and that does give it, as I said, that gourmand edge, but it's a different type of chocolate fragrance than most anything out there. And that is because the way the chocolate comes across, the white cocoa, as it were, is quite dry. It really is. And you pick that up immediately. So when you first spray this on, that cocoa is there right off the top. And it's a dry, slightly sweet, like semi-sweet sort of chocolate powder almost, mixing with rum, which gives it a booziness, but doesn't impart too much of a warm, syrupy kind of sweetness, which is what most people would probably associate boozy notes with. You know, rum notes, whiskey notes, cognac, stuff like that. People usually will think of that as giving a fragrance really, like I said, kind of syrupy, sweet, warm, boozy vibe. But instead, here, it just imparts like a sprinkling of booziness on that cocoa powder, and yet it never really warms the fragrance up, as it were. We also have a bit of immortelle off the top and even tobacco as it dries down, but the tobacco is not the type of tobacco that you would more commonly think of in a fragrance like this. Instead, it's a white tobacco, almost like tobacco blossom instead of a tobacco leaf, like a pipe tobacco leaf, I should say. Because again, similar to booze, when you tell people, oh, tobacco, first thing they'll think of is that almost cherried pipe tobacco or honeyed pipe tobacco. But you don't really so much get that here. It is more reined in, and the fragrance has a touch, a very slight touch of green notes kind of around the edges as it dries, but that cacao, that white cocoa powder sort of feel, cacao pod, that lingers for quite a while. It's not as prominent as it is in the opening, but it still stays pretty much the star of the show as it dries down. And while it does have powdery aspects, even right off the rip, as soon as you spray it on, and those linger as the fragrance dries down, it's not really a truly powdery fragrance. It's got bits of powder, just like it has a little bit of a green edge, a little herbaceous touch to it, but those never become overwhelming. You do get tonka that comes out a little bit in the dry down. It's going to lean slightly more toward that hay aspect of tonka. Yes, it still has some sweetness there, of course, but it leans a little bit more toward that side of the note. And the fragrance never does enter that warm and sweet territory. It keeps it, you know, semi-sweet the whole way through, which is really interesting. If you look at the note breakdown and you know nothing about this fragrance, you just look at the note breakdown. Chocolate, tonka, patchouli, sandalwood, rum, tobacco. You look at that and you're gonna have in your mind's eye a particular type of scent. And again, if you knew nothing about this, didn't know the name, marketing, nothing, never heard a review on it, and you went in and sprayed this, knowing that note breakdown, you would be surprised because it's not the type of fragrance that you would expect. But I gotta say, I really enjoy that. It doesn't have as much of this like attention-grabbing nature to it that some fragrances would that have a similar note breakdown, ones that do lean further on that sweetness. Some of those are gonna be more the type of scent that can immediately grab and arrest somebody's attention. This one is a little more subtle, a little more mellow, but it does have a unique edge to it that I find really appealing. It's absolutely more of a fall and winter time fragrance. This is not at all something that I would go for in spring and summertime. Fall, winter, yeah. And it's more of an evening scent as well than a daytime scent. But I think during fall and winter, you could realistically pull it off during the day or the evening, either one, and it would work. But with the way that the chocolate, the patchouli, and the dry down, which is not really earthy, but it does, you know, lend a little bit more of that slight green touch around the edge of the fragrance once you hit the base. But with these notes and the little bit of powder that it has and everything, yeah, I would absolutely not go for it in spring and summer personally. And as far as performance goes, it is an eau de parfum, and as far as longevity goes, it's good. It lasts an above average amount of time for me. The projection though, that's gonna be more moderate. This is not a super powerful fragrance. As I said, it's a little bit more subtle, a little bit more mellow. So while it lingers for quite a while, it doesn't linger in a loud way. And it does come across fully unisex to me. It doesn't lean one way or the other. It's not feminine leaning, masculine leaning. It's just that type of fragrance that anybody can pull off and nobody's really gonna question it. So there we go, Cacao Porcelana. Really nice introduction to the house. It's a fragrance that's a little bit hard for me to lump in because it's the only cacao fragrance that I have, chocolate fragrance, that approaches things in this way. So while that more typical way of chocolate booze fragrances I really like for the most part, as long as it's done well. This one stands outside of that, does things differently, and I like it a lot, but I don't know if I would prefer more fragrances to be done in this way. I think that with it being kind of its own deal, that makes me appreciate it more. If more fragrances started to come out that smelled like this, at that point I'd probably be like, okay, you know, enough. But with this being its own little vibe, I think that makes me like it even more. All right, guys, that will do it for me. If you've smelled this one, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And if there are others from the house that you think I should prioritize over some of the other scents, let me know also. Like I said, I've got a discovery kit, so I've been checking them out, but feel free to let me know your thoughts. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.